arrived here in Assen. The crowd has already packed the stands. Everything is ready for the traditional Dutch Grand Prix. These shots are taking us to the starting grid where everyone is ready for the start of the race. The sky is clear, but the temperatures are low, so there's no need to worry too much about consumption. Not surprisingly, most teams opted for a set of soft tyres. There is something magical about
Halo, halo semua. Wah, gawat. Kedengeran lagunya. Ah, nggak boleh, nggak boleh. Copyright, copyright. Nggak bisa denger lagu. Untuk kamu, kamu untuk aku, namun semua apa mungkin iman kita yang berbeda. Tuhan memang satu, kita yang posisi ke-6. Ayo peda balap malam hari. Aduh. Wis kasar kali bos. Ya, depan Korea teh. tidur nih guys. Baru bangun ini, pingsan dari sore. Dari terakhir live itu baru pingsan tuh. Baru bangun. Udah pada ngopi guys. Kasih semangat buat Tega dong. Oh, jebret, jebret. Ada iklan IDM monyet. Iklan IDM bajakan. Baik. Nalangin layar. Saat sempurna. Susu hakim danis kampret. Esteban di depan, salib sama kita bung. Langsung ke 35. Oh, hakim danis dekat, tidak tahu malu. Kita balap lagi. Tenang, tenang. Dapat nih. Ada yang terjatuh lagi, syukurin. Posisi ke-10. Tensinya peda cuy. Bambang. Dipepet. Kita dipepet guys. Oh, paksa sekali. Ayo kita ring. Posisi ke-11, lap ke-7. Let's go. Ya, sekali satu. Oh, track limit. Oh sial, ditarik lagi kita. Weh, apa-apaan ini nyalip semua ini. Oh, licin guys. Guys, bannya apa ini? Oh, ada yang terjatuh. Us. Oh, bannya pas licin guys. Last lap terakhir. Masih urutan 11 kacau. Ke 10 besar.
As the riders return to pits, let's take a look at the final standings of this Moto3 race.
Nggak ada kompetisi. Oke, selamat pagi. Gak ngerti kalau kalian. Halo guys, sudah ngopi belum? Yang belum ngopi-ngopi dulu.
Chapter 9 in the 2026 MotoGP World Championship brings us to the brilliant Brno circuit. For the Monster Energy Grand Prix of Czechia. What is a scorching hot race day Sunday here. We're a short drive from Czechia's beautiful second city.
Third bike in your picture, he came through Q1 to qualify in 10th on the grid. And with all those penalties and with the jumbling up of the grid, he actually has a conventional look to it, the front end of the grid, with 3 of the top 4 on the grid.
Passed on our best to our fathers on Father's Day back in the UK. Yeah, Eddie O'Shea's really stepped up his game, hasn't he, in 2026. Balaton last time out, and the second time in the first 8 rounds that he has missed the points. And of course, he had the accolade of becoming just the third Brit in MoTo3 history to lead a Grand Prix, recently at the Italian Grand Prix in Mugello. David Almanza then, one lap yesterday from the Spaniard at 2:04.069. First ride in Moto3 to have 3 successive poles since David Alonso was on the front row of the grid in Kota, Jerez and Le Mans 2 years ago, back in 2024. Though, of course, one of those 3 qualifying pole positions, David Almanza, unfortunately, was not able to take his place, was he, on the grid in Mugello?
Max Quiles starts next to him on the front row of the grid. There's some late tech issues, it appeared, for Quiles in qualifying 2 yesterday. He was denied the opportunity to go out for a last run at the end of Q2, but as you saw, didn't lose too much, dropped from provisional pole down to 3rd. That has now become 2nd on the grid. It's become 2nd on the grid because of the 12th place grid penalty for Hakim Danish, but still has the pace to challenge in the front today. He's with Jack.
Yeah, absolutely, middle of the 5th row now for Hakim, but as you guys rightly say, you've looked really fast all weekend. I'm sure even though a little bit further down on the grid than you would have liked, you still feel you have a great chance today, Hakim.
Yeah, today I just try to keep calm and keep focus and try to have a good start and try to go in front a little bit.
Warm up.
Good luck, have a great race.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jackie. He's got pace. Hakim Danish, he was fastest in both practice sessions here on Friday. So Southeast Asian fans who are tuning in. Brno.
Now it's set for another Almanza Quiles head-to-head. This is the Czech Grand Prix. 3rd pole in a row for David Almanza. Quiles, the championship leader, alongside him in 2nd. Alvaro Carpe promoted onto the front row due to penalties elsewhere. His teammate Brian Ariarte's 4th, with 2 Brits completing the 2nd row, Eddie O'Shea and Scott Ogden, 5th and 6th. On the 3rd row, we find Joel Kelso in 6th top 10 qualifying in a row. Casey O'Gorman came through Q1 to join him. Matteo Bertelli, who crashed on Friday, starts 9th. Adrian Fernandez 10th after he came through qualifying 1. Valentin Prodi and Jesus Rios complete the 4th row. Marcus Ariarte, he's in 5th. David Munoz starts 13th. Then of Hakim Danish, who drops 12 places from his P2 qualifying. Joel Esteban completes row 5. Yamanaka, Morelli and... So he's also made rapid... The Grid and Lab Hondas. I think O'Gorman's going to end this lap potentially in 6th or 7th. They were side by side across the line. Look at that in the background. O'Gorman is 6th. So look, have a look at that move again. Round the outside of 2 bikes into the final corner.
Almanza recovering place, then he's back in 3rd. He must have made a real mistake through that sort of S of 11 and 12. Trying to get the drive, wasn't he, up horsepower hill.
but came out of Horsepower Hill back in 4th places. Immediately found his way back through on Brian Uriarte.
On board with David Almanza, looking to repair the damage from that error a quarter of a lap ago. You're not going to get through there into turn 3. We are looking back at the moment from Alvaro Carpe, top 2 in the World Championship, top 2 in the race, although I think on our right hand side we are going to see Almanza taking second.
Keyless then keeps up this perfect record of having led every single Grand Prix so far in 2026. Yeah, Almanza's in recovery mode here. This has been a real strong second lap, hasn't it, for Almanza. Already got his way back through on Carpe and beat Uriarte.
This is the leading group of what's looking like 6 at the moment, who are putting a bit of distance between themselves and the rest. And you have to give credit to both Danish and O'Gorman, the 2 rookies who've been able to latch on to this leading group of 4. Of course, we've got the top 3 of the top 4 in the World Championship here, Keyless, Carpe and Almanza, plus our winner from Mugello a couple of Grand Prix ago. What a good rich vein of form that Brian Uriarte is it.
Rios has got his elbows out big time. He started this second lap in 12th place. He's got up to 8th on the 54 bike, so a brilliant early surge this from Rios, who's come from the back of the 4th row in 12th.
Well, Carpe nearly ran into the rear tyre there of Almanza, and he had to check up. It almost gave his teammate Uriarte a run at him. The IO teammates worked together very nicely in qualifying 2 yesterday, but I think they'll have eyes only for themselves today.
This time around it's a clean run out of Horsepower Hill for Almanza. He's going to try and pick up a bit of slipstream. This will feel like an age on a Moto3 bike climbing up Horsepower Hill, won't it? As he goes close to Keyless, not close enough though to attack him into turn 13. There is Danish looking ultra strong on the number 13 bike, already up from 14th to 5th.
Yeah, we haven't had any progress whatsoever from Morelli further down the field. I was expecting him to also rocket up the order. He's actually lost ground. Morelli is down in 21st place. Clearly had a nightmare first lap.
O'Gorman's the quickest rider on circuit right now. He's the first and only rider into the 204s. This is brilliant by the Irish rider. There he is on the 658 squad records a Honda, a 204.906. Keeping O'Gorman busy in this early podium battle.
Been a bruising start for the Brits. Both O'Shea and Ogden have been relegated down the order. Eddie O'Shea runs 10th. He's the first of the grid Hondas at the moment in P10, and Scott Ogden down to 11th place. So they've both dropped 6 places.
Fair play to O'Gorman, a bit of a milestone for the Irish rider. It's the first ever race 204 we have seen here in Moto3 in Brno. Now he's all over the rear tyre as well of Hakim Danish, looking to pick off 5th place here. They close up as we come into the stadium section. It's still advantage Keyless. Joel Esteban has taken an early fall. That's lovely by Uriarte on the 51 bike. Set that up brilliantly down the hill on the brakes in the 5, carried the corner speed through 6, and then just lunged it on the inside of Carpe into 7. Beautiful by the 51.
Yeah, it's not been a good start for the MTA squad, and clearly a bit of pain in the foot there for Esteban. It's coming through the right-hander of 4. In fact, he makes contact there with a couple of riders. He's on the outside, actually. It was someone sweeping across from that wider line through 3, straight into the side of another rider, and then Esteban was on the outside with nowhere to go.
It's the second time this season where we've seen Joel Esteban have a horrendous big crash. Of course, he was high-siding out of the victory battle in Goiânia at round 2. That's brilliant once again, isn't it, by Uriarte. Got through on the 51 bike on Almanza. Almanza's had his problems with that turn 11 as you start that climb towards Horsepower Hill. That's the second time in the opening 3. That's where he has been picked on. A little bit of a tap there onto his backside, just saying to Alvaro Carpe, let's just calm down, let's just keep this rhythm, keep this pace, because we don't want to try and disrupt each other's rhythm right now.
I'd love to know. I love it when riders do that. I'd love to know what the success rate is of that particular gesture, because I don't think Moto3 riders tend to listen to that sort of instruction. Keyless then leads us over the line. This is lap 4 of 16. Uriarte fancies a crack at leading this Grand Prix, doesn't he? On the first...
Mana pensnya peda nih?
Top 6 still with about 3/4 of a second, although Pratama's doing his best to close the gap. He set his personal best on a 2:05.2 last time round. He's 7/10 back of O'Gorman.
Mana pensnya peda nih?
Perone once again as a front-running force in this Grand Prix. He came over the line down in 15th place, back end of the points.
Tuh, men nggak ada yang nonton. Pada tidur kali ya?
To send it on the inside of Uriarte on the brakes into turn 3, and then thought better of it. Danish then settled in 5th. He's just keeping a very close watching brief on the quartet of Spaniards directly ahead of him. There is O'Gorman in 6th, quickest rider in this Grand Prix so far. And Pratama's done some brilliant work, hasn't he, to come from 20th up into P7. He's only 1.5 seconds off the lead.
And he is now closing that gap down on the back of the leading group. You can see visibly how much closer he is, because he's gapped Fernandez, who runs in 8th. Fernandez himself did a personal best, but it was 4/10 slower than the Honda immediately up ahead of him, and he's getting to catch now.
only Brian Uriarte, was quicker on that last lap than Pratama, so the Indonesian has found some serious speed. He's worked his way through quite brilliantly in the early part of this Grand Prix to set himself up for potentially another podium charge. We drop down there now into the hard braking zone for the Kevin Schwantz corner, this long right-hander before you start the big climb back up the hill through Horsepower Hill. Quiles favours that wide sweeping line, doesn't he, through turn 10?
Yeah, it's all about just making sure you've got some tyre left for the end of the Grand Prix. It's a long race in scorching hot conditions, certainly hotter than the Moto3 riders are used to, because they're out first thing in the morning at the start of both Friday and Saturday. They are all on the medium front, medium rear combination though, so there are no outliers in terms of tyres in this leading group.
Lots of riders had grip penalties coming in this Grand Prix. Just to cover off Ruche Moody and Leo Ramastor for two riders who had to complete long laps. They have indeed done so. Back at the front then it is Quiles. That's going to lead over the line. And he's getting on with business here. Pratama, we've just mentioned the fact that Pratama was showing some real dynamic pace. A 2:04.524 from Pratama as Almansa goes on the inside of Uriarte into the first corner. Pratama, you can see at the bottom of your picture, has picked off O'Gorman. Well, there's nothing O'Gorman could do about it because Pratama was 7/10 faster. He's absolutely flying at the moment, is the Indonesian.
Something happened to Adrian Fernandez in the final corner or two, because he's lost about 3 seconds. He's dropped all the way down to 15th place. So any hope that Fernandez had of joining this leading group has very much gone.
Pratama's pace is nearly a second inside of Jose Antonio Rueda's 2025 race record here in Brno. He's now got through, well, he's wasting precious little time, is he, enforcing the issue here. He's got through on O'Gorman and now Danish on this lap 5 of 16. This is brilliant by Pratama.
Lovely move that again by Uriarte, that inside line, that tighter line through turn 5 and into 6. So Uriarte once again back in second place. Almansa running third, but Pratama is just so dynamic, isn't he, and so good on Sundays. He's had a bit of a poor qualifying run as of late, but when he gets to the business end of the Sunday action and the red lights go out, he's so strong.
So Gorman and now Pratama, the only two riders that have been in the 2:04 bracket in the early part of this Brno battle. We drop down the hill and now Mansa's on the inside of Uriarte into the Schwantz corner. It's a lovely move that once again by Mansa. We know how good he is, strong on the brakes. There's another little bit of a gesticulation there with the left arm as Pratama now going through on Carpe into turn 11. He is careering towards the front of this Brno battle.
He's playing a video game at the moment, isn't he, Veda Pratama, and doing a very good job about it. Now up into 4th position. This group of 7 now 2.5 seconds clear of the chasing group. She's led by Eddie O'Shea. There was a bit of a look there for Pratama. There was a bigger look for Casey O'Gorman, who relegates Danish to the tail of this leading group of 7.
Yeah, this is now your podium battle. This is now your victory battle. These 7 are pretty much 2 seconds clear of Eddie O'Shea, who was winning the battle of the Brits further down the order. Scott Ogden's dropped down from 8th to 11th on what was a pretty poor lap 5 for Ogden. Pini just picked up Adrian Fernandez. Fernandez is fading quite dramatically here. The 2 leopard Hondas, then 18th and 19th respectively, as Almansa is at the front. What can Quiles do in retaliation then? So Max Quiles now back into second place. He's got the inside line for 3, not close enough. Pratama now up into P3. This is awesome by the Indonesian, isn't it? He's got the inside line. Uriarte tried to put behind the brakes into 3, but Pratama has it.
We'll see what Quiles' strategy is going to be now. He seems tends to lead and do the pace setting and the pace managing. Is he now happy just to have a little bit of a look at the back of Almansa? Uriarte in no mood to look at the back of Pratama as he takes 3rd place back again, and now he's giving the instructions. Let's call a truce. Let's look at what's going on ahead.
Those downhill braking zones into 5 and 10. That's where Uriarte is really good. Really strong on that KTM. Quiles was in hot there, wasn't he? Wide as he came through the right-hander of 6, and that's just given Almansa about, what, 3, 4, 5 bike lengths back to his fellow Spaniard. Out of 9 we go in front of the Scotch. Oh, no, Gorman's gone down. Well, Casey O'Gorman had a big high side here on Friday at turn 6, and unfortunately O'Gorman, one of only 2 riders in the 2:04s. O'Gorman's podium charge has come to a premature end here, halfway around lap 6 of 16.
Second big crash of the weekend for Casey O'Gorman. Just shows how on the limit he was trying to go with this leading pace. So we now have 6 riders in this group at the front. That promotes Danish back up into 6th place. So we have 5 KTMs and now Pratama, the sole Honda in this lead battle.
Yeah, and up the hill they go. Almansa then at the front. Here comes Carpe on the inside of Pratama. Carpe got brilliant drive, then he coming out of turn 12, set that move up beautifully on the inside of Pratama into 13. Nothing that the Honda Team Asia rider could do. So here's Almanza over at the line now as we move on to lap 7 of 16. It is now any one of 6, you feel, for the victory. Eddie O'Shea now promoted up to 7, but he's over 3 seconds behind the top 6.
I wonder whether actually Fernandez has got some sort of problem with his Leopard on this. He's lost further ground. He's now in 18th position. He's been passed by his teammate Guido Pini, having ran as high as 5th on the first lap. Fernandez now down to P18. Morelli's finally starting to make progress as his team.
Ya guys,